Yakuza Like a Dragon is a masterpiece. There, I said it. I genuinely believe this is one of, if not the, best JRPGs I've ever played. As a fan of the genre, and an even greater fan of the Yakuza series, Like a Dragon appealed to me in just about every quantifiable way. Honestly, I didn't expect to feel this at all. As a matter of fact, I was initially incredibly hesitant about Yakuza 7. You see, one of the main aspects that led to me becoming so enamoured with the Yakuza series was its simple, yet absolutely brutal, brawler style of combat. The sheer badassery of Kiryu's beast style and Majima's many deadly dances is perfectly captured by a gameplay system that is tailor-made for the many badass series heroes. The library-filling collection of heat actions made each of the games prior to Like a Dragon just so memorable and fun. Now you're telling me that this amazing system was going to be disregarded for a turn-based system? A turn-based system is the complete opposite of what series fans have come to expect. Initially, I was really quite mad at this choice. Could you imagine, seriously, Kiryu or Majima's badassery being constrained to such a rigid, static system? This was one of many reservations I had prior to playing Yakuza 7. It was hard enough having to imagine a series without Kiryu as the lead, let alone all the other concerns I had about a game that seemed so different to what I first fell in love with. Well, having said that, let me tell all of you now why I was so wrong. And also, why I truly believe Yakuza Like a Dragon is not only a perfect JRPG, but also the correct next step for the Yakuza series. Welcome to the gaming conversation, as today we take a look at why, in my humble opinion, Yakuza Like a Dragon makes for a perfect JRPG. We will discuss elements from the gameplay narrative and, of course, all the different characters. I will also talk about our new franchise hero, the permanently brilliant Ichiban Kasuga. We make regular gaming critiques, discussions and investigation videos, so if you enjoyed today's video, maybe consider subscribing, and without any further intermissions, let's take a look at why Yakuza Like a Dragon is such a fantastic JRPG. Growing up, I wanted to be many things. Actor, journalist, and wrestler were just a few of the ambitious ideas I had for my life. Oh, what a joy it is to be young. Well, at least now I can say, after my time with Like a Dragon, that I have performed many job roles. Not officially, of course. Instead, I've learnt many skills and techniques thanks to one of my favourite aspects of the game, the job system. As is tradition with JRPGs, Yakuza 7 has moved away from characters having different combat styles. Instead, each party member can perform different jobs that reflect common JRPG combat roles. For example, the idol job that female characters can perform is essentially the conventional JRPG healer. Another example would be the enforcer role, which functions as a conventional tank. The genius with this system, and why I found it so engaging, is that the jobs themselves are actual jobs from real life. Honestly, I never knew that I needed to carve up enemies like the finest Michelin chef, and bend enemies to my will as the world's most combative dominatrix. The job system is hilarious, ingenious, and a great example of why Yakuza Like a Dragon makes for a perfect JRPG. Effectively, the developers have taken a conventional JRPG system and put their own unique spin on it that perfectly fits within the zany, over-the-top world of Yakuza. Of course, a system like this also needs depth, for all the hilarity of the absurd moves and fantastic summons. The job system is fundamentally what keeps the combat interesting throughout quite a long game. Each job serves a very different role, and there's a fun amount of strategizing to be had in terms of deciding which character learns which job, or, if you're a grind sadist, having them all learn the jobs. I'll be honest, initially this system is pretty bare bones, and the game does suffer quite badly from some really poor balancing. For example, the first few chapters are super easy, and then you hit chapter 12 and BAM! It gets crazy. However, as the game goes on, this system really begins to shine, And between your 7 party members, you have an incredible amount of options at your disposal. Status elements, different damage types, and enemy weaknesses are all factors that add a complexity to Yakuza's combat that I just don't think was there before. The jobs themselves are so diverse, and the different moves you can unlock are really quite cool, especially the essence moves and summons, which receive some great cutscenes that really capture the badassery of each party member. Given that the game is a JRPG, there is naturally a crafting element, which has always been there in Yakuza, but in Like a Dragon is far more essential to the experience. Weapons are actually important in this game, unlike in previous titles where they are merely an additional aspect of your character's toolkit. Here, having a better weapon is going to dramatically change the kind of damage you deal. The upgrading loop is pretty decent, with some cool designs adding an extra layer to combat, unless you're using Kasuga's freelancer job, which means you'll be sticking with your trusty hands throughout the game. That being said, I do think that it would have been good to have a more engaging way of upgrading your weapons, like for example in Dragon Quest XI with the fun-size forge. But again, that's something that in the future they could consider. Nevertheless, fighting with a giant vibrator is not something I thought I needed, but I absolutely did apparently. Well, as you might have gathered, I absolutely loved the combat system in Like a Dragon. Given that I generally prefer action combat systems, I really didn't expect to enjoy the gameplay as much as I did. That being said, I think the main reason I love the gameplay was because even though the system is the antithesis to what I enjoyed about the series' combat, it still manages to capture the essence of the series. You're still doing crazy over the top moves that mix brutality with hilarity like a beautiful symphony, and between all 7 party members, there is an obscene amount of depth that I don't think would exist in a brawler system. Like a Dragon dives deep into uncharted waters, and emerges with a combat system that brilliantly captures the spirit of Yakuza, while simultaneously offering a depth and variety to gameplay that the series just hadn't ever reached before, in my opinion. Do I still love the previous system? Of course, but I can also admit that the turn-based system here was the right call. Like a Dragon needed its own identity, so that new series hero Ichiban Kasuga could carve out his own legend. The JRPG-esque gameplay is one of a number of changes that contribute to this new series identity. Speaking of which, I think one of the most appealing aspects of any JRPG for me is the idea of taking on the role of a hero and embarking on my own quest to save the day. Now, JRPG protagonists aren't always the most engaging. The silent trope is still quite prevalent throughout the genre, but sometimes there are some really interesting lead characters that add a real flavour to the story. For example, Yuri Lau from Tales of Vesperia, whose grey morals and ruthless streak add a level of nuance to what is a fairly simple story. A great playable lead character, or self-insert for those that prefer, adds a lot to any story. In the comically named Ichiban Kasuga, Yakuza 7 offers a fantastic, interesting, and relatable hero to lead your adventure. It was never going to be easy to fill the wide shadow casted by the legacy of long-term series lead, Kazuma Kiryu, and in many ways Kasuga as a character isn't the second coming of the dragon. Kasuga is fairly different from Kiryu, which combined with a distinct tone and aforementioned gameplay shift, helps Ichiban and Like a Dragon feel like a breath of fresh air. Unlike Kiryu, who due to his pure nature finds himself often unintentionally playing the role of hero, Kasuga is more than happy to cosplay that role, with his infectious personality and sense of justice making for a really compelling lead. Kasuga's unique obsession with Dragon Quest gives his character a strong sense of identity, as well as a certain tongue-in-cheek approach to situations where Kasuga has to play the hero. Add to this a great delivery from voice actor Kazuhiro Nakaya, and what you have here is a character who absolutely fits the tone Like a Dragon is going for. Ichiban perfectly fits as a more typical JRPG lead. His positive attitude, undeniable courage, and perseverance are all attributes that make for a great hero for any adventure. As the game's name suggests, Kasuga isn't quite the dragon yet, but he is certainly trying to be, and the journey he goes on from the lowest of lows to being a hero is so compelling. Like any great beginning to a long tale, our character doesn't start out as a bona fide hero. The first few chapters of the game do a brilliant job of humanizing Ichiban and his struggles. The story-heavy approach to the first 4-5 chapters isn't going to be everyone's cup of tea. However, undeniably, it is really effective in quickly introducing a hero that any player can get behind. For the JRPG genre, if you're not playing a self-insert character, it is absolutely crucial that the player has reasons to care about the lead. The investment into Ichiban as a character even goes as far as to having you developing his personality. In true JRPG style, as Ichiban's various different personality traits increase, new gameplay opportunities, romances, and even areas become available. This system is great and made me feel far more invested into his character. Not to mention, one of my favourite inclusions being the Unabara Vocational School, which offers another great opportunity to further develop Kasuga's personality, this time through taking various different tests. It's clear to me that a new JRPG approach and Ichiban Kasuga as a character are made for each other. More so than any other game, does Like a Dragon feel like a journey for our protagonist. I'm not interested in going into story spoilers for this video, but I also appreciated how heartfelt and personal the story was. Is it the best story we've had yet? I wouldn't say so, but damn if it's not a great introduction to a new series lead. Of course, like any great story, like any great adventure, our new hero needs a band of allies to join him on his quest. And unsurprisingly, the eccentric, enthusiastic Ichiban Kasuga leads one of the most interesting parties I've ever experienced in gaming. Look, I'm not sure who it was way back when that declared all JRPGs must have an age limit capped at around 20. Now, I know this is an over-exaggeration, but it's painstakingly obvious that most JRPGs do favour a younger cast, for whatever reason, and for better or worse. In my opinion, I've personally had my lifetime share of edgy, cool 14-year-olds saving the world. And so with Like a Dragon, that features a 40-plus-year-old protagonist, a man literally verging on retirement, and a homeless dude, this was indeed a welcome change of pace. As I mentioned earlier, Like a Dragon does a really fantastic job of carving its own unique identity into the long-term Yakuza tapestry. Never before have we had a party-style system in the Yakuza series. We've always been blessed with really interesting characters and strong kinship and rivalries, but Like a Dragon takes this to a whole new level. I love it. Whilst undeniably this is Ichiban's story, each of the supporting cast members have their own motivations and personal journey they go through. Well, except for poor Eri, bless her poor lonely soul. The genuine bonds that Ichiban forms with the various different party members is something that elevates Yakuza 7 in terms of character building. Looking again at the story-heavy opening, it is here that we see the formation of a great friendship between Kasuga and Nanba. Their interactions feel so incredibly human, which is something that the Yakuza series has always done really well, but not to the same level of detail as found here. Leaning into the JRPG format, Yakuza 7 is able to develop the party further outside of the main story, whether it be the various different conversations that pop up as you venture around Yokohama, the different activities you can engage in with your party members. There are plenty of moments for great character development. Perhaps the best aspect that comes from this new party system is the ability to develop your bonds further with your party members at the Survive Bar, a bar ran by a very familiar face. Functioning similar to the Confidant system in Persona, Ichiban will engage in conversations with each of the party members at certain points in the game. These conversations not only offer great gameplay rewards in terms of unlocking new moves and more out of party XP, but also shine a light on each of the party members' backstories. Threads that are lightly touched on in the main story, such as Saiko's complicated relationship with her family, are further developed through this gameplay system. Consequently, this system does a fantastic job of adding depth to the party, as well as offering a chance to see the developing relationships between Ichiban and the rest of the cast. Survive Bar feels like a peaceful respite from the often intense and emotional main story, giving the characters a chance to loosen up, have a laugh, and show the players how close they've become. As cliche as it is to say, you really do feel like you're hanging out with a great group of friends. The characters share moments of vulnerability, many jokes, and quite a lot of whiskey, especially that old alcoholic Psycho. There is so much humanity in Like a Dragon. Never before in the zany world of Yakuza has there been such a group of ragtag dregs of society formed together through tragedy, all to save the day. I grew so attached to Kasuga's party, and I believe that my enjoyment of this title can largely be attributed to this. I'm excited to hopefully see more of this wonderful party, and even in spite of my reservations, I'm looking forward to seeing how they can build upon the turn-based combat system. Yep, now that is a revelation. Does Like a Dragon hit the story highs of Yakuza 0, or feature writing as tight as Judgment? No, but Like a Dragon is undeniably the most fun I've ever had in this series, and with JRPGs in general. The game spotlights the absolute best aspects of Yakuza, introducing a protagonist who on his debut delivers perhaps the best performance we've seen in the series yet. That's sure to heat up the comments section. There are definitely some rough edges, but that's normal when experimenting. I would hope in the future to see much better balancing when it comes to difficulty, a better paced story, and definitely an improvement on the dating system. That being said, I cannot wait to continue delving into the story of Ichiban Kasuga and his many friends, to see what other innovations can be brought to this new system. I'm really excited for the new chapter in the series, and I hope you all are too. Thank you all once again for tuning in to the gaming conversation. It's great to see our audience grow, and with that, I want to know, what videos would you like to see next? If you enjoyed today's video, please do consider leaving a like, and if you haven't yet subscribed, consider doing so. We'll be having plenty more gaming critiques, investigations and discussion videos such as this coming out soon. Naturally, the more the channel grows, the more time I can dedicate to producing regular content. Let's continue the discussion down below. Let me know your thoughts on Like a Dragon. I want to hear from newcomers and series vets alike. Thank you all once again. I've been Michael JH, and at times, absolutely enthralled by Yakuza Like a Dragon. Peace.